Welcome back. Today on Self-Love Ignited, I'm connecting with Annick Bleyen. Annick is from Belgium, and she shares with us her life trauma that starts right from her childhood and her mother, and tells us how her traumas have made her stronger and prouder of who she's become, how they have led her to raise 3 children, dive into entrepreneurship, and really learn to embrace her divine self. Her story really is incredible. You are going to get so much out of this. I cannot wait for you to dive in. Welcome to Self-Love Ignited. My name is Katie Allen. I'm a certified health and life coach, and we are here to talk all things self-love, self-acceptance, body image, health, and total well-being. You are going to hear from me, plus you'll hear the stories of other women who have transformed this already. They have walked this path, and they have really learned how to love and embrace all parts of themselves. We are here to help you be inspired, motivated, and to help you really transform your relationship with yourself to be a loving and positive force each and every day. This is so important so that you can really reach your big dreams, feel at home in your skin, be healthy on your terms, and live a big life. What are you waiting for? Let's get to it. Okay, Annick, welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you with me here today.
Thank you, Katie, for inviting me. This was a great opportunity. Thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome. So why don't you just take a quick moment and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and who you are and where you are in the world.
Yeah. So where I am living in Belgium in Europe, and I am a proud mom of 3 young adults today, a daughter and 2 boys that I've been raising for 20 years now, all by myself. I also have my own business since 12 years, a consulting firm mainly focused in um, HR and transformation in small and big organizations. And now, since a year, I started a sidetrack business where my passion is to really help people to reconnect with their essence of freedom, because when we are born, we are just free spirits. So that's in a nutshell who I am, and I just love life. I love people, as long, as they are likable, I would say.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. So this podcast is all about, self-love and telling the stories of women just like you who have come from a place of, maybe not liking, not accepting parts of themselves to really embracing and loving all parts of them. So let's just start at the beginning of your story. Why don't you, tell us a little bit about your challenges that you faced and like how that all began for you.
Okay, so I'll try to be as clear as possible. So I was born in a small Dutch village in Belgium, because you have Dutch and French speaking part. And to know that my grandmother originally came from Africa, from Burundi, and there she met her husband, my grandfather, who was from Netherlands. So their history is that in the 50s, white and black could love each other but could not get married. So they first had their children, that was my mother, and then in the 60s, for the family and the children, they moved to Europe, to Belgium, near the Dutch border, because my grandfather was from Dutch origin. So that's my background on mother's side, and my father was a Belgian. So that gives me in between. And what affected me for many years around self-love is that I just didn't understand why I was never feeling good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But reflecting on my childhood, well, my mother was a beautiful young woman. She always told me that I was the product of a rape. Nevertheless, she married my father. They stayed together, married for 1 year. And she also wanted, in the beginning, an abortion, what she tried at the time, I think with a pill. But so I didn't leave because I'm still there. So it's only many years after that I could connect the dots and seeing and feeling the impact that it had had on my life. Because as a child, I've mainly been raised till my adolescence by my grandmother, and she really loved me unconditionally. So I had that side. But at the other side, from the motherhood, who should build you to become a woman in this world and, know yourself, respect yourself, love yourself. I didn't get that because I was never good enough. I had to be quiet. I had to be like invisible, be visible, but not visible, because I was a joyful kid. She was proud to show me off. I
Mhm.
was like a prize, oh, look, it's my product. Um, but then when there would come interaction from people, showing appreciation and love to that little girl, well, when I came home, I was treated, you're a hooker, you're bad, you're all that. So being in that dynamic, no, it takes a toll out of you, because as a kid, you don't understand. Once you're loved and others you're hated, and where is where is the right way in all that?
Mm.
So growing up and becoming an adult, when I had my depths, really feeling pity for myself, I would say, looking back, the question was always why? Why why am I not enough? Why am I not loved for who I am?
Mhm.
So I've been struggling with that question for many, many years, many years.
Yeah.
And it is painful reflecting afterwards, then I can see that little girl again, that young woman that grew up without having a framework on, we, when you don't have that fundamental, you have to build yourself, build your own values, your own belief system, because all the crappy you have is causing so much pain and suffering. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And when you start from that, and especially even the confusion, you said, because you were with your grandmother until you were 11, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So going from that and having a really loving, solid foundation to then being in this other space with your mother, like, as challenging as that is, I feel like that's even another layer of challenge, because it would be so confusing for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Continuously. And don't knowing, what triggered that mother, that, I remember one day I was 14 and we were walking in the snow, and I was feeling some tension for some days, and she was really, not even looking at me. And in the snow, I had the courage to say, okay, Mom, what's happening? What's this tension about? And then she said, oh, don't take it personally, but I just can't bear look at you because you're just growing up and you're really looking like your father. I still remember that day as if it was yesterday. I just felt my tears rolling in the cold. And I thought, what the hell? Why do you say something like that?
Yeah.
How can you?
Yeah.
You see, so it was, and then, for many years I went also consulting a therapist to help me, because being 18 and then going to young adulthood, you don't really focus on self-love. You really focus on surviving. That was more the feeling that I had. It was, this life is not worth it. I'm not worth it. So it was more of, as long as I breathe naturally, well, I'll stay alive. That was really the feeling. So there were a lot of ups and downs, And yeah, I think step by step going through life, you go through different phases. And yeah, that therapist did help me get through some deep layers of pain, and not necessarily having the need to understand, because understanding is going back. And before you go back, you often discover other things that do not really serve you now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is back is back. You cannot change it, but look in front and know what you want to create. So that's been more the focus for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you said that therapy was a big part of this for you, going to therapy and actually having somebody to help you understand, help you sort of move forward. How else, like, can you sort of take a moment and like paint that picture for us, like from, a young woman who, you went on to have three beautiful children, and you went to therapy, but what did that look like on a daily basis? How did you really start to see your worth and see your enoughness and really have a love for yourself?
Yeah, exactly. So, well, there are different stages, and when I visualize them in life, you have your childhood, then you go here. The age is 18, then you're an adult. Where in US it's more 16, the sweet 16. So
Mm-hmm.
there are some time spots in your life, and then when you're 18, are you going to study or going to work, whatever? Then you're coming to young adulthood, then it's the time to get married, and then when marriage comes, you get to having kids and all that. That's for everybody, it's the same. But I went to a therapist, and she always told me, you're very particular, because most of my clients, they just come in every week or 2 times a week. With you, I just see you when you're in a crisis. Now, when I really feel at the edge of self-destruction, not loving yourself, yeah, I would really get crazy in my head. I would, yeah. And she said, then you only come, we go through it for a few sessions, and then you put all that in your new self that you're building going through life. And that's beautiful to see, because that means that in that process of integration, you also go through your path of healing, questioning, healing, and moving forward. You don't stay stuck in, oh my God, why did this happen to me?
Yeah.
No. So that was an eye opener for me. And then to help her, she organized at some point a group with was mainly women who had suffered from abuse, physical, mentally, and also sexual abuse. But she really was focused on women. And there we came together at least 2 times a month to have conversation, and I would help her facilitate. And there I could reflect on how I was going through my pains, and how other women would go. Because when you're on the street or with girlfriends or working, you don't see that. You don't see that people don't love themselves. They doubt they are in pain, because, we all carry a huge facade. And there, I really could see, all ages, all different kinds of traumas. And what really struck me, that when I saw women from around 50 or 60 who've been married 3 or 4 times and still didn't go through their shit,
Yeah.
I thought, oh my God, I don't want that for me. I don't want that for my children, because they're going to carry that pain on and on, because that's what her story was about, Yeah, the children were always with her, but can you imagine going marriage 1, 2, and there she touched the T point where it was always for 4 times a repetition of her pains, her errors. If you don't go through your pains to heal yourself, accept and love yourself, you will just, it's like a wall that you paint. It's another color, but the crappy wall is still there.
Yeah.
So that was really a big eye opener for me. And going through, I think that also daring to face my mother and tell her in front um, that was the first time when I was 18. I really needed, the burden, the pain you put on me, it's not what defines me. It's your bad behavior as a parent, and I'm giving that back to you. So I gave her a big bag of everything. And of course, she couldn't understand, and I was the bad one. Um, and so we went through life. Then at a point, I met my husband at the time, and there I really decided to take her totally out of my life, because then it was about self-respect, self-love, and making choices. We make choices to come here and choose our parents, but at a point in time, you have the freedom to choose what is beneficial for you. And that individual, who also was my mother, was not good for me.
Yeah.
And that I really felt in my bones, and it was a disconnect completely. And then I had my children, and I refused that she could even come, in the same city as they were.
Mm-hmm.
So that was for me, and having my children was, I think, the really biggest part of my healing, because you go through, it's like giving birth to yourself again, in a sense. And going through all that, just it clicked, who would harm a baby? How can you look at a baby and harm it or not love it?
Yeah.
How is that possible? And there, for me, that was the biggest healing. It's not me. I didn't do anything wrong. I was totally lovable. So that was really I think having my children has been the first big step to my healing path, and giving me the right to exist, to be a woman, and to exist, and demanding respect from whoever. I
Yeah.
think that was one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's wonderful. That's powerful. Like you at 18, which, I suppose legally, depending on which country you're in, you may be an adult, but I mean, we all know at 18, you're really not. You're really not yet, But for you to be able to stand up to your mother at that point and say, this isn't me, this is you. And at that point, sort of take the first stand. That's a really powerful, incredible thing for you to have done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
After I was really afraid, because she could be very hysterical, but I think when you come into your, like, a survival mode, you feel it in yourself. It's you or the other. The pain is so, at a point I also tried suicide, but then I woke up and she was standing next to me, and I thought, God, I'm in hell. How is it possible? Really, I remember that. And you just go through and try to understand, but having my children was for me the breaking point, where I said, I don't want them to experience not even a tiny bit of what I had.
Yeah.
You know, we know that history and genealogy, we pass on our children, but we also have, as individual, we can have that responsibility to heal ourselves. So we really break that chain of pain, and not being worthy and not loving ourselves, because otherwise we give it over to our children, and they repeat it, and you see those patterns happening when you watch them. So that was a big breakthrough for me. And then the path on, I will always follow trainings around personal development, and then opening up to my spiritual path. And then, you connect the dots differently. But today, when I look back, there's been a lot of cleanup, like understanding I was once at a retreat, and there was a real deep inner work, and I was already in the 40s, late 40s. And at a point, I was outside, and a lady came to me, and she was a facilitator there. And she helped me through something that was happening. I didn't see it coming. I didn't know what it was. But there was a bam about that not being worthy.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt myself back as a fetus, in the womb of my mother. And I felt her energy not wanting me, because she got a pill at that time. It existed apparently, that you could take a pill and it would destroy the the fruit, and then, but it didn't work for me. Why? I don't know. I don't have brain damage or any damage on my body, but there I could really see that process, and I could go and heal that fetus that was really small.
Yeah.
So it's normal that then you come into life, and sure, normally you should have been in a trash.
Yeah.
See the link between not feeling, and that was so a big aha moment. Again, a layer, it's not you, it's not you,
Yeah.
but it had a really deep impact in every cell of yourself, in your brain. So it reflects that when you have pain, it can come from so far away, even other generations, that looking up to those things can help you heal today, instead of staying in that why, and crying and feeling miserable.
Yeah.
That's something that has always been focused for me, because it's good to go through pain, but it was not serving me. Staying in that pain, that drives me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one thing to feel it so that you can be healed. It's another to feel it and just sit in it and wallow in it for a long time, And I think once we have the skills and the knowledge and the support to help us through it, it's kind of like it's time. Like you can't keep sitting in it anymore. You have to choose to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How would you describe your relationship with yourself now? Like you've done so much work and you've come such a long way. Would you say that you really truly love yourself, accept yourself? Do you see your worth? Like, what is your relationship with yourself now?
I see my divine self,
Mm,
if that summarizes.
that's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love myself. It's could even cry about it now, because for me, the biggest value in life is love, because it covers everything. When you love, you do no harm, you have no judgment. And I often use that also in business. And yeah, I think now 10 years ago, I made the choice to stay single, to really work on the relationship with myself. Um, because being in a relationship takes energy
Yeah.
and focus and dedication. And I no longer wanted to waste my energy in relationships that were not nurturing me. So I chose for me.
Mm,
And I believe that with the years, and also being an entrepreneur really helped me to, because it builds you on another level. You have to be, yeah, the money you're getting in, you are creating it. If you don't go out, no money comes in.
yeah.
So you learn totally different skills, coming from unworthy, having to sell your worth.
Yeah. I always like to say that other than becoming a parent and having children, I think becoming an entrepreneur is the next biggest personal development journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agree. Yes.
Yeah.
I always say where you really grow balls, because even if you're nice and don't want to frustrate people, you really have to get bold sometimes to demand respect
Yeah.
for your work with, depending on customers. I work often with big organizations. So they think, oh, you're a small one. And then also you can reflect, oh, I'm not worth it. Again, those things pop up unconsciously,
Yeah.
you feel that. So no, today I love myself. I love myself above any other rule on this planet, um, because I'm a little piece of God, like we are all, and that is only pure love. And we are here on a fabulous playground, being this planet, and to experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really my belief today. So it means that I've learned, when I saw before I would be, discipline, sports, this, that. Today I am so loving that I'm getting sometimes lazy. You see, it's okay. Tomorrow you'll do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay, girl. Come on, love yourself a little bit more. We focus on this. But yes, it's really embracing your beingness on each level. Yeah, I'm at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's gorgeous. That's
Mhm.
gorgeous. And you mentioned, you did mention that 10 years ago you chose to stay single, not get into a relationship, because at that time you were really focusing on yourself. Um, and I wonder, I hope it's okay that I ask, just because you mentioned your mom before, did you, because you went through a time where you weren't speaking with her, she didn't see her grandkids. Did you ever end up healing that relationship with her or rekindling that relationship with her?
Yes, yes. I think that when my children were around, my daughter was something about 7, then she reached out to me. Um, as a child, I've always been the one supporting that cell called family, because I also have a younger sister, 7 years younger than myself, but that she had with another partner. And I was very protective of my sister. So I was always, yeah, I was the backbone of that family cell.
Yeah.
So when my mother had financial difficulties, she would ask me, and I went into getting loans for her. But at a point, she never paid them. So I had a lot of debt that I had to pay for her. So when she came back to me and say, oh, I want to arrange this, I always thought, okay, this is a new blank page. I'm open. But when you go through different kind of traumas, you have an inner, like red light that goes on when you feel things, you see things, oh, this is, and it's not being paranoia, it's really that red flag.
Yeah.
So I was just feeling in, okay, is this sincere? Then I am open to welcome you. And yeah, she came 2 times home. And she wanted to be with the children. I said, okay, come, and I don't know, we'll make some popcorn together. And it was nice. But at the end of the day, her intention was not to become a grandmother, a loving grandmother. It was to get her daughter back.
Hmm.
Where for me, it was to, you're the first generation, then my children get to talk with you and be a loving grandmother, because often you see that, being a grandparent, then they do better jobs than
Yeah.
being a parent. So I thought, here, and we had 2 encounters like that. But, when your intention is not pure, coming from the heart, I don't want you around me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
So after that, she went back living to Africa. And if there was a need, I would be the first one to help her if she would need something. But that's something my sister took care of. And then I think 2 or 3 years ago, she passed away.
Okay.
But I found peace with that. For me, I did a lot of, healing and forgiving, and also gratitude, because what I've been through created what I am today.
Yeah.
So it's not only black, the traumas or the shit you have, when you embrace them, they give you some superpowers today. And that I'm
Absolutely.
very grateful for. Yes.
Yes, yes. That I love that, exactly what you just said. I think that's one of the biggest things that people don't really realize about coming to really love yourself, is that it also means loving everything that has made you who you are, even the bad stuff or the hard stuff. And when you can really see all of that in a positive light, or see the positive in everything that's happened to you, it completely transforms everything in your life, like more than you can even imagine, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that often I see that it brings in relationship with others. Um, I'm also, hypersensitive to energies, but then you see that others can look at you, oh, why are you so harsh? Why do you take your decisions like that? Because the way you have been building yourself is totally different than somebody who has grown up in a loving and caring family as a child, young adult. It's totally different. So they can be, yeah, we have time, where you will be, you get all the things done, and it's a totally different dynamic. But when you are aware of that, then you get to see, wow, I'm so much more efficient.
yeah,
I can do so much more than the others would say, oh, would we? You think so? It all that gives a total different view on your life when you can transform it in something positive.
yeah, yeah,
It's really nice to look at it, to take time, and to really reflect on your relationships, professionally or private. When I see my friends, I don't really have much time, but if somebody is in need, I will be the first one to take a plane and go and help you. I will go through fire for you. But when we talk on the phone, it's like we've been speaking every day.
yeah,
See, so that's a nice stuff. So I think, yeah, at the end, when you embrace self-love and you really bring it to your cells, you know, who cares what was your experience previously?
yeah, 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 for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. So you mentioned before your spiritual practice. I know you and I spoke before this call, and we talked a little bit about this. So I was wondering if you'd be willing to just talk a little bit about your spiritual practice and discovering that, and how that sort of helped you on this journey of loving yourself.
Mm. Yeah, since I remember, as child on, I've always been praying. I always believed. I've been raised as a Catholic. My grandmother was really Catholic, but through the years, I've never felt Catholic. I just believe there's something big out there, and you can call it whatever you want. So when I reflect as a child, I've always seen myself. I can remember 3 years praying, having a conversation with God. And that's still like that today. So that's something that, because even when you're abused, that's where you turn to.
Mhm.
That's the only constant that you have. So through life again, at a point, I also felt, wow, I'm always asking you things. I start being grateful for the support you're giving me, because also when you're raised and you go to church, ask God.
Yeah,
We always ask. So that was also a turning point for me, to being grateful. And that's what I mainly did, being grateful. And today it's a daily, it's still like that. I bring it together with each evening being grateful for everything, and then asking for protection for some people or for the globe or where we are at. And meditation is a big part, but I don't only sit and meditate. It's in every, sometimes you just align with your divine, and it's that's how it happened. I don't know how to explain it. And really being in your, I've been practicing a lot being in your higher vibration, because at the end, there's so much more than humans can see. And once you open through that, there's another world opening. And I mean, this playground, it's nice, but there's so much better, so much better.
Yeah.
And that's the opening of consciousness. And that's what I'm really trying to bring to people. And when I see my children, well, my daughter's 24, my son 22, and then 20, they have those seeds in their own way. No, it's not a copy of me. And so today I cannot imagine a day without being in direct contact with the divine.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I
Because
love.
that's really, being in a bath of love,
Yeah.
it's on a daily basis. So even if there's a doubt or whatever, I know the divine is there, or my guides or my angels are there. I have some, to whom I can turn. And because sure, I still have days, where you feel crappy or you have a doubt. That's being human. That's
Yeah.
okay. But I have my support system. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And that support system that's not going anywhere. They're with you for life through all of
Oh,
it. Yeah.
wherever you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wherever you are, it's not a box you need always to have, or app. No, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're free.
I like that. It's not an app. It's a very good. Yeah. Not a spirit guide app.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So this really this lifelong journey that you've been on of learning to love yourself and really see your enoughness and see your worth. How has that affected, or how did that affect your path to entrepreneurship?
Well, like you said, being besides having children, becoming an entrepreneur is also a next level to personal development, and that was for my case. I don't have examples or mentors. I started as an entrepreneur, just, well, single mom, let's do this. I just want to try. I want to have that experience. What could happen? Don't die stupid. And that's how I rolled in. I didn't believe it would last for 12 years, but it did. Was it easy? Hell no, because I started with nothing, no money, nothing, just selling my skills and learning through that path, and today building expertise and being recognized for it. And that's a nice thing. But that also, I'm a consultant, so when you come in and I'm mainly tackling transformation and change. And for many years, I've been thinking about, why do I get those hard projects? Because there's a lot of resistance in change. And now talking with you, I can connect the dots. When you are used to live not loving yourself and handling change on a daily basis, in fact, you're the best one to bring change in an organization, because you know where you're going through.
Yep.
Thank you, Katie. That's an eye opener. Awesome.
I love those little light bulb moments where as it's coming out of your
Oh,
mouth, you go, oh.
no, this one is a big one. So, yeah, so that's been the main focus. And it's been a huge healing, because I also had clients, who would threaten me, or who would tell me, I will not pay you. And that would I would have so much fear that would really freeze me. You just have three options: fight, flight, or freeze.
Yep.
I would always freeze, and it would freeze every cell. Why? Because I was so conscious of supporting my kids, my family. And I would freeze for a few hours. And after that, I would there would be a monster coming out.
Yeah.
No, I would really, it brought the, like I had a doctor once said, you have a panther within you. And when someone comes close to your children, you kill it.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe it. And otherwise, I would never, express yourself. What are you talking, going in discussions? You don't do that. But here, you're taking my food for my children. I'm coming after you, and be ready, because I'm ready to die, or
Yeah.
you. And I
Yeah.
would tell them that. And then they would say, okay, let's find an arrangement, you know, really. And then afterwards, you say, why do people do that to others? What's in it for you
Mm.
besides having the joy of power?
Yeah.
So it really helped me to move up that worth in, I would say, in professional life. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is it? So I know you said you've been in business for 12 years. So what is it that you generally work with people on now? Like what services do you provide? Who do you work with?
Well, now I'm, since 1 year, I really developed, because bringing all those dots and being in the change and all that, and letting that purpose come alive. And my purpose is really being through everything I've been through. I bring to people today online trainings, one-on-one coachings around reconnecting with your true freedom. And why I say people, because before I was more focused to women, but then I traveled a lot, and let's be mindful, there are a lot of men who also suffered through childhood. And I don't like disconnecting that also. I am a feminist, I believe in the women power, and we need to be recognized, but it's not by banishing the men. So that's why I say I really help people when you're a human being, and to help you reconnect with your true freedom. And it comes to looking at the baby being born and starting from there.
Yeah.
Because when you really look at a baby, you don't want to kill it, you don't want to abuse it, oh, it's so sweet,
Yeah.
and it's you
Yeah.
just pouring out that love. And once you love, you reconnect with the freedom, and the freedom is an ocean of possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. So, as we sort of are nearing the end of this, I would just love if you could, if you had to only pick one, if there was one like self-love exercise or one practice or one thing that you would recommend for listeners to implement, maybe somebody who's still in that dark place or struggling with a relationship with an abusive mother, there was one thing that you could recommend, what would that be?
I would say breathing, because breathing, I learned it too late. um, And if you really, because you can get blocked in a place of anxiety, hyperventilation, and you can die from that. So, when you feel, and you feel that feeling coming before, once you're in that emotion, it's too late. You have signals, your body has signals, and your brain also. So when you learn your brain to recognize those signals, whoa, this wave is coming up, start breathing. Really breathing with your belly, breathing deep and breathing slow.
Yeah.
Because when you go too fast, it makes all kinds of hormones in your brain. But breathing slow, and by exhaling as deep as possible, like you want your belly button to connect with your spine.
Yeah.
Really exhale everything. And when you exhale and you almost have no more oxygen, then you feel really your brain calming down, and the emotion no longer exists.
Mm.
Yes, I would really advise that. It's
Yeah.
simple, it's free.
Yeah. And that's one of the best, that's one of the best things, right? If you're going to start with anything, it needs to be something that is, like you said about your spirituality, with you all the time. You can't forget it at home. And
And even in the meeting, if something pops up, because sometimes your traumas pop up in a weird place,
yep.
nobody sees it. And to help, I always put also my hand just on my belly, because then you feel it and you're concentrated on what the others are saying or doing, or even if you're having an argument, just feel it. It's okay, and it supports you so much. Yes, that's my tip.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Alrighty. Now, Annick, if listeners want to get in touch with you, I will make sure to put the link in the show notes. But if they want to get in touch with you, where is the absolute best place for them to do so?
Well, I will share a link with my website, because since this week there have been problems, and they can go through there. I give a lot of free stuff, like booking for a moment, a conversation, because I really, even if we are in a digital world, I believe in connecting. It's not only seeing, it's the vibration of the voice, and there's so much coming out there. So they can feel free to just connect, share.
Okay.
I'm a good listener.
Lovely. You are a good listener. Okay, I'll make sure that the link to that is in the show notes so that we can just click on through, nice and simple.
Thank you so much, Katie. And I really, really love your work. The world needs this. So keep on spreading your seeds. Absolutely.
Thank you. Well, it's people like you that allow me to keep doing this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for listening. If you would like to get in touch with Annick or find out more about her work, there are links down in the show notes to both her website and to find her on Instagram. I know that she loves to connect with people, so if you feel so called, please reach out. Also, if you want to be part of the Simplified Self-Love Facebook community, we would love to have you. It's totally free. The link is in the bio. Click through, hop on over. Can't wait to see you there.